All right, welcome back to another module of NEPQ for real estate investors. Today, we are going to be going over part two of solution awareness. So, as we mentioned on the last module, the first part of solution awareness is to prevent objections before they come up. Now, the second part is going to be all about getting that seller into their future state. So, if you've ever gone through any sort of mindset coaching, the way that mindset coaches or therapists help you to change is they get you to imagine the moment in time when your problems no longer exist and when you are in that excited future state. Okay. And what that does is it gets the seller out of that price based thinking and into that result based thinking. We need to get them to imagine themselves in that dream home or in that next chapter of their life when they're no longer behind on their bills, when they are, down in Florida, close to their kids again. We want to get them excited about that before we start getting to any of the numbers. Again, this is the number one way that we take them out of price-based thinking and get them into result-based thinking. And we do that by doing something called future pacing. Future pacing is getting them to visualize the moment in time when they are in that next scenario, in their dream scenario. Okay, so I've got Brandon. We're going to go through some role plays today on future pacing, on getting sellers into that excited state. So, Brandon, when you've noticed, like when you started going through and you started getting sellers into that future state, into that excited state, what ended up changing for you?
The conversations gravitated more towards the result, like you're talking about, which is so powerful, and it was less about the price or like, what are you guys going to do for me? And they were talking about and envisioning what their future state would be like. So the conversations, especially around this, became a lot easier. And I know we're going to talk about in a future part of this call or another module, the needs question, which
Yeah.
that changes the whole dynamic of would you be able to do this, like the result that
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah. So if we don't get clear on what they are looking forward to, what they are excited about, we just, maybe we hit on the problems and we get them to go to that rock bottom, but we don't get really clear about what they're excited about. A lot
Mhm.
of times they get stuck, they get frozen. Maybe they feel the pain, but they have nothing to look forward to.
Yep.
So they don't end up changing. And that's all we're trying to do is we're trying to change their behavior. So the way that we open it up, our first solution awareness question, we're going to repeat back the problems that we found out in our problem awareness phase, and then the solution that we found out in our situation phase. So let's give a homeowner, for example. Let's say in our situation phase, we found out that they're moving to Florida to be closer to their kids. And in the problem awareness phase, we found out that right now this home is way too big for them. They're having to go up and down the stairs. They might be worried that they're going to fall down the stairs, and they are, just lonely being by themselves, being away from their kids. So the first question that we're going to ask is this. Okay, so let's say, you're able to sell the home. You're no longer dealing with the stairs and feeling lonely, and you're finally down in Florida close to your grandkids. I mean, what are you looking forward to the most about that next chapter of your life? Okay. Now, why do we say, what are you looking forward to the most about that next chapter of your life? We ask that question that way because whatever they answer is going to be what's most important to them, right? If we just said, so what are you looking forward to? Right? They might give us a surface level answer. What are you looking forward to about moving down there? Might be surface level. What are you looking forward to the most? We're going to verbal pause. What are you looking forward to the most about that next chapter of your life? Now, the seller is going to start opening up there, right? And they are going to start saying, oh my gosh, it's just being there for like the big moments, the birthdays, the Christmas events, and seeing my kids grow up. Okay. Now you can go a couple of different directions here, and we're going to role play this in a second. You might be able to say, well, how often are you being able to make those birthdays right now? What am I doing there? I'm creating a bigger gap, right? And they're going to say, well, I haven't been able to make a birthday in like 2 or 3 years. And then last step of the solution awareness, getting them future pacing, is to get them into that emotional impact, that state, that emotional state, that excited state about the future. And what that sounds like is, let's say they say, oh my gosh, it's just being able to be there for the big moments for my kids. I'll say, yeah, I know for me, like being there for those moments is the most important thing. I mean, how's it going to feel once you're finally there for those big moments? How's it going to feel once you're, finally in that dream home?
Mm.
Oh my gosh, it's going to feel liberating. Okay. So we're going to role play that. I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples. We're going to do an investor, we're going to do a vacant property, and we're going to do a homeowner. We're going to do a homeowner first. Brandon, let's just role play that scenario where the seller is wanting to be close to their kids. Right now, they're dealing with a house that's too big and they're feeling a little lonely. Okay. So Brandon, I mean, let's say you're able to sell this home. You're no longer dealing with like the stress of the stairs, and you're finally, with your grandkids at that dream home in Florida. I mean, what are you looking forward to the most about that next chapter of your life?
Yeah, I mean, besides just not worrying about, bruising my knees going up and down the stairs or falling
Oh
over, I
gosh.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, being able to just be there for, I mean, my youngest grandson is going to be 1, so I'd like to be down there
Mhm.
for his first birthday and be there for the rest of
Wow.
them. Yeah.
How much have you been able to see your grandkid in the last year though?
Uh, thankfully, I was able to get down there for like a week after he was born. But yeah, other
Mm.
than that, I haven't been around.
It's been a while since you've been able to see him. I'm sure he's changed a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they grow up so quick at that age. Like, I don't know if you have kids, but it's just like it's so fast.
I do, and being there every day with my kid is the most important thing for me. And every day, you're right, they're like a new human. I mean, how's it going to
Right.
feel once you're finally there? You're finally, seeing him every day. He's getting to call you grandpa, and you're able to enjoy that time with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be amazing. Like, I'm not just gonna see like the photos on my phone show up. I'm gonna be there for
Mhm.
those moments, and instead of just a picture on a phone.
Well, I'm going to do everything we can to help you get to that next chapter of your life, and then I'm going to move into my needs. Okay, so what we just did to break it down is the first thing that we are going to ask them is what are they looking forward to the most. Now once they start opening up about what they're looking forward to the most, then we can start creating a little bit more of a gap from where they are now to where they want to be, right? Yeah. And like, how often are you able to see them now? Well, I'm not able to see them now at all, right? I've only seen
Mm.
them once in the last year. And then I want to get that emotional impact. So how's it going to feel once you're finally able to be next to your kid? You're there every day, you're there for the birthdays, and you're getting that time with them, right? I'm going to get that emotional impact. And what that's doing is helping them relive some of that excitement. Okay. That's future pacing. Just like if you go and get coached by Tony Robbins, what he'll do is he'll say,
Mhm.
okay, if you were able to make $1 million net every single year, what does your life look like? What type of house do you have? What type of car do you drive? What does your day look like? They get you to get into that excited state, and it creates behavioral change. Okay,
Mm.
so that's an example for a homeowner. Let's do an example for an investor, right? Let's say that the investor is right now they're dealing with a rental property. They have tenants that are a pain in the ass. They are, giving them a lot of trouble. And what they really want is they want to be able to buy something more passive. They're going to do a 1031 exchange into maybe a commercial property or something that doesn't require any sort of headache. And they're also going to be able to make more money, right? I'm going to get them future pacing this way. So, Brandon, let's say you're able to sell this home. You're no longer dealing with the tenants calling you in the middle of the night, and you're finally able to buy that commercial building. I mean, what are you looking forward to the most about that new investment?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna free up a lot of time because we've got partners on the deal. But I mean, the
Wow, yeah.
returns, I didn't even know this a couple years ago, but with where the market is right now, the returns are gonna
Yeah.
be even better, and I'm spending less time on it.
They're going to be better. How much better are they going to be?
Yeah, I mean, the math comes out like we're doing pretty well with this house, where it's like
Yeah.
10 to 12% per year, but it's like
Okay.
we're gonna be over 15 on this next deal.
Wow. What does that equal in like a dollar amount though?
Oh shoot, man. I haven't done the math on it, but it's like it's noticeable. Like we're almost doubling the returns every year.
So when
or
you're starting to
50%
make
more
that
rather.
extra
Yeah.
money, like what are you going to be doing with all the extra cash? You going to go down to Vegas and gamble it away, or what's the plan?
Maybe once we'll give that a whirl. No, but
Yeah,
yeah, my wife and I we're in that phase where it's just like dealing with tenants is not our top priority. So we're gonna be traveling a bit more. So with more money
really.
and more time, yeah, I gotta
Where
address
where
it.
are you traveling to though?
Italy, yeah, that's the first place on our list.
Oh my gosh. Man, how's it going to feel once you're no longer dealing with this tenant? You've got more cash flow coming in your pocket and you're finally able to take those vacations.
I mean, I just imagine being somewhere at an Italian restaurant, not worry about like someone gonna call me in like the
Mm,
middle of the afternoon or anything like that, and just being present. I think is the best way to say it.
gosh, what's that going to be like?
Couldn't tell you because I haven't experienced it yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, of course. All right, so we'll pause there. What did I just do? So the first thing is I wanted to get a tangible, right? He says the investment's going to be better. Okay, well, how much better, right? Now he's like, well, it's 12%, it's 15%. Ideally, I want to get them into a dollar amount because I know for a lot of the investors that we've worked with, they're like, yeah, I mean, I've got a couple $100,000 of equity here, but I'm only making $100 a month. But if I
Mm,
took that and I bought something else, I'd be able to walk away with an extra $2,000 a month. I go, wow, what are you going to do with all that extra money? And I said, well, I've got my daughter that's in college. I want to pay her tuition. And then they're going to go deeper about what they're going to be doing with the money. This is getting them emotionally attached to that outcome,
mhm.
into the results based thinking. Okay. And then once we get that really hard tangible, we're going to ask, gosh, how's that going to feel once you're finally able to experience that? We're going to get that emotional impact. That gets them talking about the excitement, gets them feeling the excitement to move on to that next chapter of their life. Again, this is how we get into the result instead of just the price. Okay. Now let's talk about vacant properties. The last one we're going to cover today is vacant properties. So, Brandon, what's typically the problem with vacant properties when it comes to like situation and problem awareness? If they've just been vacant, maybe they don't own a
Yeah.
mortgage on it.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like the sellers are a bit numb to what's going on. Like if it's an
Yeah.
inherited property that's vacant, they're
Mhm.
like, well, I don't really know. Like, be
Yep.
nice, I guess, but
Yeah. So, one of the important things to note here is when someone is looking to change, they're doing one of two things. They're either running away from a
mm,
problem or they're running towards a solution, right? Now, if they are just running away from a problem, they're going to run so fast. And if they're just running towards a solution, they're going to run so fast. However, if they are running away from a problem and towards the solution, it's the fastest that
mhm,
they'll go, right?
yep.
We like to make the analogy of you get a fat kid and you put an ice cream truck in front of him, he's going to run pretty fast towards that ice cream truck. And if you put a pit bull behind him, he's going to run pretty fast away from that pit bull. But if he's got the pit bull chasing him, but if he gets to that ice cream truck, not only is he safe, but he also gets ice cream, that kid's going to run faster than you've ever seen him run before. Right. And so that's our sellers too. So if there is not a huge problem awareness phase, like some people, maybe they're not in an insane amount of distress, but the house is vacant. They've got equity in it. And if they did get that equity out, they'd be able to change their life for the better. So this is why
Mhm.
future pacing becomes so important. So many people just say, oh, well, the seller's not motivated, I can't help them. Well, they might not be motivated by pain, but they might be motivated by a future state.
Yeah.
So what that's going to sound like, the first question that I'll ask is, okay, so let's say you're able to sell this vacant property. Like you're finally able to get, some money in your pocket to maybe start the next chapter of your life. I mean, what are you looking forward to the most about having that extra cash?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I just got this dropped in
Mm,
my lap from my parents passing, John,
yeah.
I've been thinking more about like, man, I could buy a house of my own instead of just renting.
Really?
So yeah,
Where would you buy a house of your own though?
yeah. I mean, I've got I've been here um, in Tallahassee for quite some time, so I
Mm,
think like I'm ready to set some roots down, but I just feel like because I'm
mhm.
renting, I'm not able to do that. So
And you
hoping
would
to
set
staying
some
here.
roots down here in Tallahassee.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and what are you looking forward to about like the new home if you were able to buy it that maybe you don't have in your current home now?
Yeah, I think just a bit more space, so I'm not like sharing a wall with a neighbor, and I've got a yard at that
Ah,
point, and just yeah, just like apartments are nice because they're a little convenient,
yeah.
but being able to have that space and kind of that American dream thing, like call it.
What are you going to do with all the extra space though?
I know my dog will be happier. So that's
Okay.
one thing.
Yeah.
And
What
then,
else?
yeah, just being out and not. I think the biggest thing is just not having to hear my neighbors and just like the sense of like peace and
Mm.
quiet.
I know for me, like anytime I can hear the neighbors, construction outside,
Hmm.
it's stressful. But when I have that like peaceful environment, I mean, that's the most important thing. How's it going to feel once you're finally in that new environment?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. Like just being out of like out of town a little bit where there's not all that noise, just like this sense of like
Mm.
calm, I would say.
Sense of calm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to move into my needs. Right. And so this will work for homeowners. It will work for investors. It will work for vacant properties. But the main thing here is we want to get a tangible. Like, notice I would go for a tangible. What happens after they sell? How is their life going to change? What are they looking forward to the most? What are the emotions that they're going to feel once they are at that next chapter? And so once we're able to do this on the next module, we're going to teach you guys how to get the seller bottom dollar needs. Now we need to get that tangible future state before we can go into those seller bottom dollar needs. If we just say, "Hey, how much do you need to, sell this property?" They're going to give us a super high number, right? But on the next module, we're going to teach you guys how to get the seller bottom dollar needs. So that way, instead of thinking about the Zillow price, the asking price, the comps in the area, they're going to be thinking about the result of getting what they need to start the next chapter of their life. So, Brandon, thanks for the help. We will see you guys on the next module.
You got it.